This quick video is brought to you by the Kohdok Box of Junk. The Lucha Racha edition may be completely sold out, but there's still plenty of copies of the regular version of the box, including a starter deck, 4 booster packs, and 100 cards from games new, old, and never heard of. And even includes a special promo card found nowhere else. Link in the description below. Hey everybody, this is Kohdok here, and today we are taking a look at Gem Blenders. Gem Blenders is a longtime fan of the show. Back a while ago, I took a look at the beta version of their game, and they recently were able to start shipping out their Kickstarter rewards. I have included a card from Gem Blenders in the Kohdok Box of Junk, but that's all besides the point. So Gem Blenders is a game that I once dubbed as Redakai but good. It is a game where you have heroic characters, such as me, myself, and I, onto which you attach special energy cards called gems. And these gems are permanent. It's basically impossible to remove gems from a character. What happens is when you accumulate enough gems, you get to transform your character into a blend. For example, I'm a few gems short here, but you can see how a few cards can get me up to Hail Dominator. So the idea is you actually have a cluster of 4 of these heroes, 3 on the front lines who fight each across 3 lanes, it is another lane-based game, and 1 who stays in the back. And every hero has some kind of ability, and what happens is, generally the person in the back is one who always uses their ability, although there's also a trick where if you want to change the blend that your hero has on them, you have to first de-blend, or discard, retire, whatever you want to call it, the old one. And this is actually a separate action, so it opens you up to be able to use your hero's effect. So hero effects aren't just starting effects, they actually get to do things once you really get rolling. So it is a game with an aesthetic that I would describe as, I don't know, Charlie Brown tokusatsu. It is a very simple, almost crude art style that makes use of some pretty decently aggressive colors in order to make things work. I really love this box. This is a very well done, very slickly designed box with, you know, has the card list, it has a cool tip, it has this sort of irreverent quote on here, it has pictures of the cards. It's kind of everything you want to see in a starter deck box. But even though I just, complained about the art style, this is more of a Johnny and Mel game. I know a lot of people extend Mel out to Melvin, and I extended it out to Melanie in my video, but yeah, it is very much a game about labbing. So I was sent, along with these decks and a gem pack, and I'm just going to repeat this for the people in the back. If you have a game with dedicated resource cards, you should make a way for people to be able to acquire those cards in bulk. In fact, the game actually comes with a draft setting, and it recommends simply combining one of these surprisingly generous booster boxes with one of these gem packs in order to really get going. Now, the gem pack contains 12 of every gem, which is more than you're going to need for any of those. At most, you're probably going to want 5 or 6. Although, a fun little quirk I like about the gem box is it actually comes with a couple copies of the card Gem Search. This is the equivalent of something like Explore or Energy Search. And since your decks are mostly going to consist of 5 colors, seeing as there's no such thing as a monocolor deck in this game, because every blend requires you to yes, they have a booster pack inside the starter deck, the thing I love the most. But every starter, every deck has basically a win condition card. So it's a game that is a lot of great labbing, because what you do is you basically start with your 5 gem, your final character, the 5 gem character, and then you sort of work backwards by considering what characters in these blends you can use. Like, I think Electron is actually, I don't think he's in this deck, but I believe he is in the combo. Angel is actually one that I use for Dominator Aggro, which is the deck I play. So I play Hail Dominator Aggro because it gets a huge power boost in the center. It only requires 4 gems, so I'm able to build a deck with only 4 gems, so it's a lot more consistent, and once I start rolling out the Hail Dominators and delivering the pain, I tend to be able to be pretty oppressive. So basically, what you're doing is you have 3 lanes that you are attempting to push damage through to your opponent. So all 3 lanes, once per turn, you can strike with all of your heroes at once, all of your blends and heroes at once, and you count your attack stat against the opponent's defense stat, and that's how much damage gets through. You start the game with 20 health, although it plays as kind of a rapid best of 3, where what happens is when one character is depleted, so there are basically spell cards in this game. They work like item cards or Yu-Gi-Oh! Spell cards where there's no like cost to play or limit to play them, but the idea is you can only play 5 on 1 life. You have to have all of your life points depleted until this power gauge of the 5 cards you've played get depleted and thrown away. So even though there are a lot of really good cards, such as Collect's a very good card, Gem Search is basically an auto-include, Super Blend Search is basically an auto-include. You can't, like, just spam tons of these cards. You actually have to put a little care into how you do them, which did hurt Dominator aggro a bit. Dominator aggro was pretty powerful. Like, I could get Hail Dominator out by turn 3 easily and just start wreaking havoc, and that's after already applying like 4 points of damage on my first turn. You notice Super Blend Search has a little star up here. Now, there are cards that have this star on there, and that is because they are stronger cards than normal. They can have 2 or even 3 stars on there. Now, your deck can only contain 5 stars worth of cards, and only these action cards have stars on them. So there's a limit to how many of these super powerful cards you can use. Even though Super Blend Search, I think, is good enough that it's still something I would consider to be an auto-include in every deck. Super Blend Search is basically this game's Ultra Ball. It lets you search your deck for any blend. There's also a regular Blend Search, which I don't know if this deck comes with any copies of it. It's in the booster packs, I guess. It does not cost any stars, but you can only search a blend up to level 3. Up to level 2 or level 3, I believe. But there's a character named Chiller who can actually, like, adopt a card. You pay life points to use the effect. I think it's been severely underestimated, but let me tell you, this game is super fun to lab, and it's also super good to include a booster pack in these. Like I said, a lot of the playsets weren't perfect. There are lots of opportunities to build and design the deck. All sorts of fun stuff. Like, I think most of these would actually fit into the deck. And, yeah, look at these. So, a lot of very colorful cards. So you actually start off with hero cards. So the heroes, you notice they have kind of dull colors. They have a gray background, but then you start attaching gems to them, and you start playing blends, and the field gets more colorful. And oh, look at that! I pulled a foil version of the win condition card for the Hive Swarm deck. So I can already apply a modification to make it easier for me to pull the Hive Enforcer I need to really get my win condition going. So there we go. That's one of those magical booster pack moments you really want to see. So, like I said, this game has a lot of labbing to it. It is very much a sort of Johnny game for people who maybe aren't so picky about how the art looks. There are like some special cards, like there's cards like my Hail Dominator. This is actually a promo version of the card. If my camera decides to focus on it, it's actually a promo version of the card. So they had a bunch of guest artists for like Kickstarter and stuff like that. They're actually like alt art versions of the cards that also have different illustrators on there. There is of course the chance to pull a parallel foil of any card in the set, and I gotta say, it is quite an experience to pull a foil version of yourself out of a booster pack. No, this was not like a fun gift they sent me to tie along with this. The old Kohdok card that was sent with the beta boxes was, but they have actually printed my card into this game, partly because they made it actually really good. It is a free turn 1 index that allows you to rearrange your draws, so especially in my aggro deck, it sees a lot of use where, you know, I use all the card effects I want to on my first turn, and then right before I end it, I activate my effect to set up my next 5 draws and just continue the aggro rush. But yeah, this was an honest-to-goodness pull out of the booster pack, so that was quite an interesting experience. A trick about the heroes that you should know is if you see a gem symbol next to something, whether it's next to one of their stats or next to the ability, you have to have a gem attached to that character in order to get that effect. But that's actually not too hard to do. You are allowed to have 4 more heroes in your game who can tag out with heroes after you drop down to 20. Players start with 20 life. When they drop down to 20, both players go back up to 20. Both players clear their power gauges, and play actually continues after that. So it's basically sort of a rapid-fire best of 3 where the board state remains even after you deliver the final blow, which I think is a bit of an interesting concept. That's certainly an interesting direction to take it. So now that their Kickstarter is over, they are selling a number of these items, so hopefully they're not too hard to find. Like I said, I did include at least one Gem Blenders card in the Kohdok box of junk if you want to get your hands on one, although they are selling these Mondo McHuge Gem Blender booster boxes for a pretty good price, actually. And one of the things I love is it does have a splash of character to it. It's mostly a Johnny and Melvin game, but it does have these little token cards in the back. They also include like token heroes. So for draft, if you didn't get the heroes you want, you might have a level 5 hero. So each hero has a level. I forgot to point that out. That is how many gems they can equip on them. So you'd need a level 5 hero to get your level 5 character into play. So there is so many things to consider, so much labbing you can do with this game. It's really fun. But I love how they have these sorts of like irreverent little factoid cards. I just love random stuff like this, and it's a really good thing to include in here because it introduces us to parts of the world. So we're getting a bunch of lore along with the contents. I have to say, for how the product is put together, I would like to see some cards with maybe some fancier artwork. Maybe we could get like some comic book artists or something on there. But as far as like game designs go, as far as product design goes, Gem Blenders is definitely one to look out for. It has the fun promos, it has the fun little pieces of lore, it has just that splash of like 1990s, 2000s, like that sort of Gorillaz style, like irreverence that I think, it's sorely lacking. This is absolutely a game that has passion dripping from it from like every single card. It is, like I said, it's a lot of fun to just lab this game. So if there's a game that you want to do where you can spend a lot of time labbing, a lot of time speculating, and maybe even some time playing, I would give Gem Blenders a try. So yeah, that's Gem Blenders, and until next time, this is Kohdok signing off.